Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you an adventure horror film, Chernobyl Diaries. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins where two women, nicknamed Beauty and Blondie, say goodbye in the camera since they are going on a trip. Blondie's boyfriend, named Chris, is taking videos of them. Chris appears to be excited about the trip since they are about to visit his brother, Paul, who decides to settle in Kiev. Before arriving in Kiev, they pass through different cities in Europe. As they finally arrive in Kiev, Paul watches their videos on the trip and witnesses how crazy they are. Paul and Chris catch up with each other. Paul informs Chris about his decision to settle in Kiev, saying that he enjoys the amazing chicks in the area who love American people. At the same time, Paul playfully expresses to Chris his hormone interest in Beauty, but Chris says her boyfriend just broke up with her. Paul replies that it is then perfect to flirt with her since she feels alone and needs a fling to get over with his boyfriend. The annoyed Chris then declares he's too shitty to have a chance with her. So Paul says he'll leave her alone and asks Chris about the status of his relationship with Blondie. In response, Chris happily tells Paul that he is about to propose to Beauty on their upcoming trip to Moscow. Paul then gets surprised by his brother's revelation and congratulates him. After they all together party in a bar that night, they walk along the streets to home. Chris tongue massages Blondie in the streets, while Paul tries to flirt the hormones out of Beauty, hoping he can have a smelly tongue massage too. But Beauty laughs around, telling the shitty Paul that he is trouble, he affirms. The following day, they eat breakfast before leaving for their trip to Moscow. Suddenly, Paul arrives at the table and excitedly asks them about Chernobyl. Blondie replies it is the place where the nuclear disaster happened. Chris immediately senses Paul is planning to bring them there, so he declares that they will not change their plan to go to Moscow. But Paul still convinces them, saying that they can enjoy a fun, adventurous trip to Chernobyl, and an extreme tourism expert called Big Guy will bring them there. Beauty says that the radiation levels on Chernobyl might be dangerous, so Paul insists that they will not be affected since they will tour there only a single day. After that, Paul asks everyone to vote if they want to go there. Beauty and Blondie raise their hands, leaving the annoyed Chris no choice but to join them. After that, they head towards Big Guy's office where they see his pictures during his military days. Apparently, Big Guy is an ex-military. Beauty curiously asks him about his plans for the trip, so he shows them the video of Chernobyl and assures them the trip will be safe, explaining it is not his first time touring in the city. Suddenly, a stranger couple, short-named Mr. Mustache and Short Hair, arrives to join them on the trip. As they are now complete, they proceed to leave. Along the way, Big Guy reveals that the Chernobyl nuclear disaster was a result of a failed system test. And after the disaster, Big Guy believes that nature has reclaimed its rightful home. Later, they finally arrive at the border where a military checkpoint stops them. Big Guy then talks to the soldier while the other soldier closely observes them. In a few moments, Big Guy comes back and informs them that there is maintenance work inside Chernobyl, so the soldier cannot let them in. In frustration, Paul complains to Big Guy, saying they already paid for the trip. This then forces Big Guy to still bring them inside through the alternative passage in the middle of the woods. As they finally arrive inside, Big Guy stops to show them the lake. He puts his hands in the water and jokingly pretends to get grabbed by a monster under the water, scaring the smelly shit out of them. Shortly after, he shows them a dangerous mutant fish lying on the ground. Paul touches it and it suddenly moves. This makes them laugh around in surprise. It turns out that the lake is full of mutant fish. On their second stop, Big Guy brings them to Chernobyl's residential area, where thousands of people used to live. As they walk out of the van, they fall into a moment of amazement when they observe the abandoned buildings and the amusement park. Big Guy uses his sensor to test the radiation level and informs them that it is now on a safe level. A rusty Ferris wheel catches their attention. Big Guy explains that it was there for the celebration of spring, but it never happened because of the evacuation. Before leaving the area, they happily take a photo in front of it. After that, they proceed to walk inside the abandoned buildings. The buildings are in a complete mess, while some areas are filled with darkness. As they come out again, they silently observe everything. Beauty then declares that nature really has taken over the place. For the last part of the trip, Big Guy brings them to the abandoned residential area. A rotting dog corpse stops Blondie at the entrance, but they still ignore it and continue to walk inside. Blondie then asks him if there are other animals in the area. He replies it is unlikely during the day. In a few moments, they take a look at one of the abandoned apartments. Mr. Mustache tries to grab something in the apartment, so Big Guy warns him to leave it alone since it is contaminated. Big Guy walks them to the apartment terrace where they can see the Chernobyl reactor 4 that exploded. He explains to them that the radiation level in the reactor is too high, so they need to wear a suit for them to enter the reactor. As the group takes pictures from the terrace, Big Guy observes the area. An ash-like thing is lying on the ground, and he tries to check it with his hands. Presumably, the thing is high in radiation, so he pushes it aside. A loud noise from outside gets their attention. Big Guy then proceeds to slowly check the building, while he instructs the group to stay. Suddenly, a huge bear charges in through the hallways, scaring the bullshit out of them. After the bear passes through, the agitated group decides to leave Chernobyl. They rush to the van in panic. As Big Guy ushers them to the van, he jokingly says that there is no extra charge for bear attacks to calm the group. As Big Guy is about to drive away, the engine fails to start. He then checks the engine and finds its cable chewed on by some creatures. Big Guy tries to call for help on his radio, but the connection seems not to work. Soon after, darkness is slowly overtaking the place. Big Guy still tries to call someone on the radio, but to no avail. As they realize that they are stranded, Paul starts blaming Big Guy for bringing them there. Meanwhile, Chris and Blondie blame Paul for his idea to change plans. Beauty butts in, suggesting that there must be someone from the tour agency who knows that they are there. To their disappointment, Big Guy reveals he works alone, so no one will rescue them. Mr. Mustache suggests walking to the checkpoint, but Big Guy says it is 20 kilometers and it is dangerous to walk in the area during the night. Suddenly, they start hearing screaming creatures, making them nervous. Big Guy grabs his gun and walks outside to check. Chris decides to follow him, while Paul also decides to accompany his brother. But Chris angrily tells him to stay, since he is messing up everything. In a few moments, they start hearing gunshots, so Paul rushes to check on his brother. Soon after, Paul frantically arrives with Chris, who is severely wounded from the bite, screaming in pain. They ask what bites him. He replies that he was not able to see them, but he knows a lot of creatures bit him. He also informs them that Big Guy was taken away by the creatures. Suddenly, a group of dogs attacks their van, making them agitated again. Luckily, the dogs leave them alone after a few moments. But now the van's battery dies and the lights turn off. So they use the phone's flashlight as they treat Chris's wounds. After that, they stay in the dark and cold van until morning comes. As the sun rises again, Paul tries to contact Big Guy using the radio, but to no avail. Realizing they need him to go out of Chernobyl, Paul, Beauty, and Mr. Mustache decide to walk out of the van to find him. After a few moments of wandering, they hear Big Guy's radio and find it along the basement stairs. This means that there's something that attacked him, so Beauty says they need to go back. But Mr. Mustache insists on checking if he is still alive. They then all together walk down the basement to find him. There, they find a trail of blood, so Beauty suggests he must be dead. However, Mr. Mustache says they need his gun. As they silently follow the trail of blood, they finally find Big Guy, but his body is now completely mutilated from bites. They then try to find the gun from his body. Suddenly, they hear a creature approaching, making them immediately hide. As the unseen creature devours the mutilated body, Beauty slowly crawls towards the gun. As she grabs it, the sound alerts the creature, and she immediately runs outside, where Mr. Mustache and Paul lock the door. The three then rush back to the van. They tell the others that Big Guy is already dead, and they need to immediately leave. But the injured Chris cannot walk, and carrying him will take them a long time to arrive at the checkpoint. So Chris instructs Paul they need to seek help at the checkpoint and come back later on. Meanwhile, Yuri takes a look at the camera and finds a creature in the picture taken in the apartment. Chris and Blondie decide to be left alone in the van, while Paul, Beauty, Short Hair, and Mr. Mustache will walk long distance to seek help. Along the way, Paul expresses his guilt for bringing his brother to danger, but Beauty says he needs to focus on saving his brother. Soon after, they find an abandoned garage. They stop there to find some cable they can use to fix the van. As they wander through it, they find a bus with a bullet hole in it. Possibly, there must be a former group who tours there and also gets attacked by a creature. Paul and Beauty search through the bus and find a broken gun, a flashlight, and the remains of a guard that appears to be eaten by the creature. Meanwhile, Mr. Mustache finds a cable that can fix the van. So Paul calls Blondie and informs her that they are on the way back to fix the van. Suddenly, a group of wild dogs chases them, making them run away as fast as they can. Shortly after, they reach a river with a fragile bridge. Short Hair nervously walks to the bridge and falls, so Mr. Mustache immediately jumps in the water to bring her back to the bridge. Suddenly, the mutant fishes pull him. Luckily, Beauty grabs him back to the shore in time, but he still suffers from small bites. In the end, the dogs cannot chase them through the river as they successfully pass through it. Soon after, they finally arrive back at the van's place. As they are speculating about the creatures in the area, they suddenly hear a creature scream. So they rush to find the van, but it is nowhere to be found. They wander through the area and find it destroyed and filled with blood. They find Blondie's phone, where they watch the last moments of Blondie and Chris. In the video, Chris decides to propose to Blondie in the van rather than in Moscow, thinking that he might not make it out alive. Suddenly, a creature smashed the van's window and attacked the helpless couple. As the video abruptly ends, Paul is completely devastated, but he is still determined to find his brother. Suddenly, they hear a scream from somewhere. Paul then desperately follows the sound, and the others quickly follow him. Shortly after, they find traces of blood in an abandoned building. Believing that it was from Chris, they search through the dark building. Suddenly, they spot a creature standing around, scaring them to death. As they run, they finally find the frightened Blondie, but she is traumatized that she cannot speak about Chris. Meanwhile, Mr. Mustache grabs a map from the wall. As they walk outside, Mr. Mustache tries to trace the road towards the checkpoint, but the agitated Paul does not want to leave without finding his brother. Mr. Mustache then steals a gun from him and calms him down by saying they would come back to find his brother. So they decide to go back to the checkpoint first and seek help. As they walk following the map, they arrive near the nuclear reactor and spot a creepy child standing around. They then slowly approach the child, trying to talk to it. As they are busy dealing with it, an unseen creature instantly grabs Blondie downstairs. They then immediately run downstairs, but she is already gone. As they wander through the place, a troop of creatures slowly approaches them. They then run again in fear and reach a locked door of the nuclear plant, so they forcibly open the door and enter it. They walk downstairs and enter the heavy door. As Paul closes the door, the creatures instantly grab Mr. Mustache away. Seeing not even a single piece of mustache left behind, Shorthair cries frantically for the loss of her boyfriend. However, they have no choice but to continue finding a way to survive. Soon after, Paul finds a body lying on the ground. Thinking that it is his brother, he attempts to touch it. However, it turns out to be a creature that startles them. Their screams alert the attention of the other creatures, and they chase them again. They run away until they reach a ladder and climb towards it. Unfortunately, the creatures catch up to grab the helpless Shorthair away. Meanwhile, Paul and Beauty continue running around the dark hallways of the building. They soon arrive in the nuclear reactor, and the high radiation level makes their skin slowly burn. So they immediately run outside, where Beauty finds the dead Blondie lying around. Beauty then tearfully embraces her dead friend. As they start walking again, creatures jump on them from behind. They then fight back to the smelly creatures. Beauty grabs a medal and beats the other creature. After that, she helps Paul, who is struggling to fight it. As they successfully escape, they continue on walking until they find a heavily armed military outside. They ask for the military's help, but instead of helping, the military shoots Paul to death, thinking he's already a creature. Meanwhile, the military picks up Beauty. Soon after, Beauty is on the stretcher and getting pushed by the doctors wearing a radiation suit at the hospital. The lead doctor asks the other doctors where she has been found. Upon learning that she was found near the reactor, he says that they cannot let her go since she saw everything. It seems that the creatures in Chernobyl are radiation mutants and are being kept as a secret by the government. And because Beauty witnessed their secret, the doctors brought her to the dark room. In the end, the creatures inside the room instantly grab her while she screams helplessly for help. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.